Okay, let's talk gacha games. I've been playing gacha games since middle school, with my first being School Idol Festival, and when I wrote this script, I put that I still play it, but they terminated their game service in March of this year, so, I'm still grieving the loss of my beloved first rhythm game, so, it's a touchy subject, but it wasn't until the last year or so that I really took a step back and realized I've played a lot of gacha games, and I mean a lot. So you could say that I have some experience with gacha mechanics, and seeing gacha features in a new game doesn't surprise me because I'm already familiar with how they work and what to expect. For those of you who might not know what they are, gacha games are games that primarily use toy vending machine style mechanics to give players access to rare characters, items, materials, etc., usually through the use of the game's premium currency. The term gacha is a shortened version of the word gachapon, which originated in Japan and is actually an onomatopoeia of the sounds that these toy vending machines make. Gacha being the sound of spinning the metal handle, and pon being the sound of the toy popping out. These machines are not exclusive to Japan, seeing as you've probably seen some at your local rec center or arcade, and I know when I was growing up, my rec center had like a shady little room in the back full of old arcade games, and we definitely had some of these machines. Anyways, this term is what went on to categorize games that made use of these blind box mechanics. Now, if you've spent any amount of time in the gaming community in the past 2 or so years, then you've probably heard of a little game called Genshin Impact. Genshin Impact is an open-world action RPG that was released on September 28, 2020 by HoYoverse, or miHoYo at the time, and following its release, it completely skyrocketed in popularity. It could have been partly due to the fact that it came out during the pandemic, but I think it was mostly because the game was hugely popular on TikTok. So Genshin became a massive success, and this exposed a lot of people, both gamers and non-gamers, to it. Now, because I had already been in the gacha community for a while prior to Genshin's release, I was surprised to see all of the backlash that it was receiving on its wishing or gacha mechanic. The way that wishing works in Genshin is that the player can use primogems, the premium currency of the game, to wish on a banner for characters and weapons of varying rarities. It's basically like sticking your hand in a bag of marbles, picking out 10 random ones, and hoping you get a rare one. Now, the drop rates on each banner have their own rules about how many wishes it takes to be guaranteed a rare item, and what the drop rates of the featured characters are, so I won't really be going into much detail about that, but just know that primogems, while they are attainable by playing the game regularly through chests or missions, they aren't exactly easy to rack up. For most players, buying primogems in the store or buying a monthly pass to get more gems every day will be the main way of acquiring them. This is a pretty big issue because a lot of people who hadn't previously been exposed to gacha games noticed its similarities to gambling and pointed out that the game was encouraging people to spend money for what is essentially a bunch of ones and zeros on a screen that you aren't even guaranteed to get. If anyone remembers SAO Abridged, it kind of feels like that one scene where Kirito and Asuna are arguing over a virtual coat. Anyways. And although Genshin is not the first game to get hate over players spending a bunch of money on microtransactions, these are extremely valid critiques. Most games don't outright force players to spend money, but many people feel pressured to for multiple reasons. Some games start out relatively easy for free-to-play players, but get increasingly more difficult to play without the premium weapons or characters. This can make these games go from free-to-play to pay-to-win, and one notable example of this is in Genshin Impact's Spiral Abyss. The Spiral Abyss is a set of challenges that are incredibly difficult, if not impossible, to fully complete without at least one 5-star character or weapon. So any free-to-play players might find themselves missing out on the rewards or the challenges simply because they haven't gotten lucky enough with wishes or they can't afford to spend money in the hopes of getting a rare character. Another way these games get you hooked is by giving new players special banners with higher drop rates or discounted premium currency to give them their first taste of pulling the drop that they wanted. Genshin does this with the new player banner, and most gacha games will offer cheap new user bundles in their shops to help get players into the gacha loop, because once you're in, you're in. I mean, I got my first 5-star character in Genshin within the first 1 or 2 weeks of playing the game, and at that point, it sealed the deal for me. When players finally get the drop they want or manage to get lucky early on like me, it makes it way too easy to get addicted because, well, you've already hit the jackpot, so to speak. Of course, not everything in a gacha game is some mastermind level manipulation tactic that developers use to get people to spend money. I'm sure there are countless players out there who got caught up in the excitement of a new game or saw their favorite streamer drop a bunch of money in one sitting and ended up spending way more money than they meant to. But the reason I think that Genshin specifically came under fire for the gambling tactics that countless other games have used before is because of how common it was to see people spending money in the game. Streamers would often spend money to get more wishes, and even the game's own voice actors would spend hundreds of dollars to try and pull their own characters. I mean, the voice actor for one of the main characters streams themselves trying to pull on every new banner that comes out, sometimes spending a lot of money on one stream. And no hate to Zach, I mean, I think he's a super cool guy, I'm sure he's very, very sweet. But since it became so common to see people spending money on the game, combined with the success it was receiving and the hype building around each new character drop, it's not surprising to see why Genshin was getting so much hate and, by extension, giving all other gacha games a bad rep in the process. So why do I like gacha games? Ignoring the fact that I've given away 2 major red flags at this point, the answer is surprisingly simple. They're fun. Well, to me at least. And I'm not just saying this to make myself feel better for spending a little bit of money on them. For some reason, I've noticed that gacha players seem to get pushed into a separate category of people that gamers like to shame for spending money. From personal experience, it feels as though saying I've spent money on League or World of Warcraft is more socially acceptable than saying I spent money on Genshin Impact. And it doesn't really make sense to me. I don't speak for everyone, but I personally spend money on these games because I feel like they've given me a worthwhile experience, which is different from buying games on Steam or for a console. I play some of these gacha games almost every day, and I have been for years, but Pokemon Shield, I paid $60 for that bad boy, and I struggled getting to 30 hours. I had to sit down and force myself to complete the game. I couldn't do it. And this isn't to say that you shouldn't buy games you aren't sure you'll like, but I wish people would stop viewing gacha games as though they're somehow a lesser gaming experience. Okay, I know I spent most of this video explaining why gacha games are problematic, but I swear I do actually like them, despite their other issues. But I think I've decided not to let other people dictate what I should or shouldn't enjoy anymore because I know what's important to me and what I value with my time and money. And some people just aren't going to understand that, and it's okay. To anyone watching, don't let other people shame you out of playing a game or spending money on something that you like just because they don't think it's valuable. In my eyes, anything that makes me happy is worth it, and something I'll carry with me long after I finish the game. Hi everyone, thank you so much for checking out this video. I hope it was entertaining. I'm not really experienced when it comes to making videos like this, in this sort of like video essay style. So let me know what you think. Constructive criticism is always appreciated. And And, you know, if there's something that you would want to hear me talk about, be sure to let me know in the comments. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful day.